Welcome to Reviews on a Dime, a little show where I collaborate with some awesome indie creators, with permission. Each episode will be boosting each other through constructive reviews of our work. I provide an overview of the product, give it a critical eye, and discuss its layout and physical construct. Today's episode looks at Eve Greenwood's and Spire Eaton's Guide to Kroma, the first and presumably a series of zines about the Shungvale setting. This fantasy travel guide comes out on its own, as a PDF, or as part of a deluxe bundle. Today, I'll be reviewing the bundle, which includes the guide, 2 maps, a 2-page RPG, some delightful stickers, and a keychain. The whole bundle retails for about $28 or £20, and there's a link to Eve's store in the video description. Overview. The Guide to Kroma is set out as a charming and contemporary faux tourist guide. It looks and reads like the sort of thing you'd find 20 copies of jammed into your shelf at the local information centre, something that definitely adds to its appeal. Colour is the basis of everything in Kroma: weddings, funerals, fashion, and even the deity Oroko. They're all linked to colours, and this is reinforced throughout the book with the language of Jarvis. The Jarvis language gets its name from the word Jave, a term for vibrant and dangerous magic that spills out of rifts that open and close throughout the Shungvales. These rifts also spawn rainbows, or Esjaves. Rainbows are insentient creatures that, while normally tepid, can become aggressive and cause havoc. An organisation of defenders, called the Oroshardan Knights, defend Kroma and the rest of the Shungvales from these rainbows, and harvest their highly toxic blood, called Varjave. Varjave is a distilled form of Jave, and is used in many different trades throughout the city. Kroma reminds me of a similar, if darker, role-playing game, Blades in the Dark. The setting's central city of Doskfall relies on harvesting eldritch whales with profane petrol for their blood. The guide's writing style is believably modern, flush with touristy infographics and soothing descriptions of land's older cultures. There are references to photography, hoverbikes, mobile phones, and local weather apps, to name a few of its modern touches. Inclusivity has been built into the foundations of the guide, with sections on colour-based pronouns, romantic and platonic weddings, and even how and when to sign in the native language of Jarvis. The tone in these sections blends well with the rest of the guide, positive and upbeat. Throughout the book are elements any GM could turn into a fun adventure. For example, it's alluded to that Kroma has an underbelly of unlicensed ward carvers preying on unsuspecting tourists. Most pages feature exciting phrases in Jarvis that could pepper a character's speech. That said, there isn't anything too spoilery in the book, so players can be encouraged to read cover to cover. There's lots to read and enjoy, but for now, I'm going to get on with the next section, my critical thoughts. Critical thoughts. The Guide to Kroma features an impressively complex language system. I know personally that Eve is a polyglot and loves to learn and practice new languages. Jarvis definitely feels like a fully formed language. I like that it's a phonetic language, which means it reads like it looks on the page. However, some of the examples, such as the storm weather charm and the wedding tattoo, seem a little too complex for me to extrapolate. This goes especially for the classical script, which is made of a puzzling combination of shapes and colours. The guide details all sorts of information, but one part that stuck out to me was the currency. Named Vet, the coins come in 6 denominations, each with their own name. This trope reminds me strongly of money from mainstream fantasy, such as the Forgotten Realms, and not necessarily in a good way. A society with hoverbikes that doesn't use paper money? It doesn't seem realistic. Furthermore, why have 6 different nicknames when most currencies only have one, such as quid, bucks, or yen? I know these criticisms are a bit of a nitpick, but because everything else in the book was so immersive and enjoyable, they did stick out. Design. Next up, we've got the design pass. The guide is a staple-bound booklet with thick satin finish pages. I dislike satin and gloss pages in reference text, as the reflective shine conflicts with the readability. However, I make an exception for Kroma because it does really add to the travel guide feel. Staple binding is one of the most cheapest and most accessible ways to make a zine. It comes at the cost of buckling pages past a certain critical thickness. It can also struggle to lay flat. The large text size makes the contents easy to read, and the sans serif font gives it a casual appeal. Page design is consistent and eye-catching, and sections often share double-page spreads. This often adds a pleasant context to otherwise unrelated information. Throughout, the guide features handy references, such as markers for page numbers and handy calendars for when festivals are happening in Kroma. Upbeat infographics further cement the style of the book and add a slightly tongue-in-cheek feel. Extras. Last but not least, the extra bonus bits in the pack. First up is the 2-page TTRPG, a Kickstarter stretch goal for the original guide. Written by Mayaan, you play as Oroshardan knights hunting the insentient rainbows plaguing Kroma. The rules are quick, simple, and narrative-focused, based on a standard but effective 3 stats roll high, fail forward mechanic. Your vocation decides your stats and grants an additional once per session power. You pick a few additional aesthetics, and then off you go. The core ethos of the system is to tell stories. There are no changing stats, such as hit points, so any consequences in the story are purely narrative and intangible. Curiously, there's some mechanical dissonance with stat allotment. Your stat number dictates the amount of dice rolled when making a test. However, all vocations have one stat at 0, implying a player wouldn't be able to attempt certain actions even if narratively it would make sense. Overall, the game is a solid and succinct system. It's nothing groundbreaking, and the prose does assume some previous experience with role-playing games. It's a perfect jumping point for first-time GMs. Next up, the guide comes with 2 large versions of the interior maps. They're printed single-side on thick matte paper. They function as nice handouts for the players, or for adorning your walls. It would have been nice to have either the guide's end paper on the back of these handouts, or an unannotated version of each map. However, every little extra does cost more money, and this is already a fantastically produced indie publication. The set also comes with 3 soft-touch vinyl stickers and a cute wooden Storm Charm keychain. Both reference all the world building from the guide, and I'm definitely putting the toad sticker on my iPad for good luck. Rounding up, for £20 you're really getting your money's worth with this full deluxe pack. The £5 PDF is also a steal. I recommend picking up the guide if you're ever looking for examples of world building done right. That's all for the guide to Kroma. If you want to find more of Eve, Spire's or Mayaan's work, I've put their links in the description to this video. Thanks for watching. I always appreciate your comments below, they really make my day. And if you want to swap zines to review, just send me a DM on Twitter.